I put a spell on you.
Welcome to I Put a Spell on You. Eddie Hurst's Wonderfull Discoverie of Witches podcast. The show using spells, magic, and best guesses to help solve all our problems. Is it this one? No, corridor again, come on! Hi everybody, it's me, Eddie Hurst. Welcome to I Put a Spell on You. It looks like I'm in one of those infinite looping corridor situations. This has got to be the 50th door I've opened now to try and find the room that my guest is in, waiting for us to interview them. And I'll be honest, it's been an absolute nightmare so far. There's all sorts of spooky noises that I can't quite spot where they are. I walk down the corridor, I see a door, I open the door, I'm at the start of the corridor again. At one point, I saw a lady, she was turned away from me, I looked away, I turned back, she's 3 feet closer. It's very unsettling, and quite frankly, a little bit too close for legal comfort to that Silent Hill demo that came out a few years ago. But of course, I'm here to welcome my guest, if I can ever find the room, Lulu Popplewell. Lulu is a stand-up comedian, a podcaster, and former child actor from London. Her work explores her experiences of mental health, addiction, and performing in Love Actually as a child. She was the lobster if you want to check it out. Alongside funny stories, observations, and all the other things that, generally make up a stand-up comedy set. I first met Lulu at an alternative comedy memorial society show, which are a series of gigs that run in London and Edinburgh, and I met her at the Edinburgh Fringe in, I think it was 2019, when I was doing my debut show at the Fringe. And I also met her support dog, Dottie. Dottie also appears in this episode, both in spirit and in flesh, but neither of those really translate into the audio medium, so you're just going to have to imagine that Dottie's there. Or not, That's up to you. It's not my job to figure it out. Hold on, I'm just going to check this door here. Hiya, I'm just trying to find a...
Oh, sorry, we've got a reserve on this room from to half past.
Right, I'm just trying to find a room that... Okay, I'm so sorry about that.
It's fine, it should have said on the sign outside.
Right, I'll just go then, shall I? Oh my god, that's the 5th time I've interrupted them. They're right to be that arsey with me, actually. So Lulu joins me. We have a great talk about their experience as a neurodivergent performer, of writing personal and vulnerable material, as well as addiction and being an addict. It's a field that I think there's a lot of discussion over overlaps between neurodivergence and addiction, and I think like many things in the neurodiverse community, it's things that are kind of maybe, but also not really exactly. I'm also going to talk to them a bit about their training as a therapist, and I'm really looking forward to you hearing this conversation. But of course, Lulu joins us with a request for a little RESPECT. You know what that means? To me. I hope. Sorry, I know it's not a spelling podcast, but nevertheless, she wants some respect. Not of you. I mean, I guess maybe she does, but she doesn't need the spirit world's help for that. She wants help of her dog, the aforementioned Dottie. Will I succeed in winning over the heart and mind of her dog? Does the world of magic even have a spell to not only tame a dog, but earn their respect? How do you earn anyone's respect? Is it by asking a lot of questions in a row like this? Let's find out. Just before we start, Lulu's show is called Love, and you can see it at the Edinburgh Fringe. It is at 6:45, which is 6:45 every day, Underbelly, George Square. My show as well, Eddie Hurst's Wonderfull Discoverie of Witches in the Countie himself, will also be at the Edinburgh Fringe. It will be at Assembly at 2:20 at the Roxy downstairs. And remember, please do like, subscribe, and share the podcast. It helps get the word out to more people. And also, if you'd like to, you can fund my Crowdfunder, which is trying to support costs for Edinburgh and the tour and this podcast. But without further ado, I think it's time that we start a chat with Lulu. If I can ever find the right door for this interview. Hang on, what's this coming over here? Is that like a flying machine from Pink Floyd's Dark Side of the Moon song On the Run?
Really risking copyright.
I think for fair trade it's okay. Well, I'm just trying to find the right room I need to get into. Oh, right here?
No, not that one. That one.
All right.
See you later.
Thank you. Hello and welcome to I Put a Spell on You with me, Eddie Hurst, and we find ourselves in a dark corridor. There's smoke, there's mist, and who is it at the end of the corridor? I see you there. Hello, who is it? Do my eyes deceive me? Is this an illusion before me? No, it's Lulu Popplewell.
Hello.
Hello. I'll be honest, I did that as a joke, the last one I did, and I can't stop doing it now, Lulu, but thank you so much for joining me.
Suddenly thought like, oh God, am I going to have to act out being in a corridor? What am I going to have to do? But no, I loved it. Thank you.
I mean, we can if you want to.
No.
I know you famously don't like improv anyway.
God, I've just had to cut another joke about improv from my new show because I'm like, I can't keep. No, I
think you're okay. I think they know what they're doing.
Yeah,
they're aware of it.
Yeah, they should be.
Thank you so much for joining me, Lulu. Please, can you introduce yourself for the listeners?
Oh, hello. I am Lulu Popplewell. I'm a comedian, and I have a podcast host as well. And I'm a loving mother to a dog. And I think that's all I am.
It's weird though, isn't it? Like, I feel like you say comedian now, and then it always feels like you have to add a hyphen in there,
right?
And add some extra bits in.
Oh my God, the other day I was talking about this with someone where it's just like, it's not enough. It's just never enough to simply do comedy.
And
never is that better exemplified than on social media where you have to also do sketches. And
you did your show, was it last year or was it 2 years ago actually at Ed Fringe?
It was 2 years. It was 2023. It feels like a really long time ago now. And I know you asked me to send you a link to watch it.
Yes, thank you.
I was like, oh, should I watch it? And then I just couldn't bear it. I've like never watched it back since like, I think I did it. I finished in Edinburgh. I did one day at the Bill Murray and then I did it at the Soho Theatre. And then after that, I was like, in the bin, never reflecting again. Yeah. So actually does, it feels like such a long time. 2 years ago. It was very fun to make. Actually a lot easier to make than I'm finding my current show. So it's based around there was an instance I went on a podcast and the person on the podcast asked me what I thought of the film. I didn't realize I was going on the podcast to talk about having been in the film. So I wasn't prepared. And I don't have any media training anyway. So I just said, yeah, do you know what? I loved being in it, but it was it's not for me. I think it's a bit sexist. I think it's aged badly, and I don't think that's a hugely controversial thing to say. I think a lot of things are aged badly.
I think that's a pretty common point of view to have.
And then and I said, I said it's a bit cheesy and crap. Then I think it was the Daily Mail first ran an article about it, which was great, and then the Sun,
all the great guys, all the great ones.
So they all ran this story of the lobster kid, which I was in the film, doesn't like claps back against Richard Curtis, but they got like progressively more and more like sensationalist. My favorite one, I think it was the Metro. They said they titled it "Shellfish Behavior," which is really a pun to rival all puns, but yeah. And then they turned it. I'd mentioned that Hugh Grant had sort of said something dismissive as a joke, and then they said she had a fight with Hugh Grant on set, and yeah. So anyway, then there were all these articles online, and the comments were horrible, and I shouldn't have read the comments, but I did. And then I also got like DMs on Twitter, really aggressive, horrible things. And people love that film. The things people say that they will do to protect that film is wild. It's so funny. They're like, oh, it's all about love. It's all about kindness. Why don't you like it? And also, I hate you and I hope you die. Like, it's just madness. So I received a lot of that. And so the show was a bit about that experience of what it was like to suddenly get really hateful, occasional death threats online for having said something completely like kind of anodyne, I think. And then it was also about how you deal with that as an addict, which I am. I'm an addict in recovery, and in a month and a half I'll be 10 years clean and sober.
Congratulations.
Thank you. Well, let's see.
Is that right? I often feel like yes, congratulations, and obviously that's like something amazing. But also, how do you feel about people saying congratulations in that sense? Because I worry sometimes that there's some shame connected to the congratulations, but that might be me overthinking. I think you're overthinking, because I think if someone's come out and said I'm in recovery, they're proud to be in they're owning it.
And I like the congratulations because actually it's fucking hard work.
Well then, congratulations underlined.
Thank you, Eddie. My experience of being an addict, and a lot of addicts have different kind of triggers that they used on. Mine was caring what people think, which I actually had loads of others, but for the sake of narrative, mine was caring about what people think. So the show is about how you deal with life as an addict generally, and then with that very specific situation that happened to me, and sort of tied them together. And a lot of it was sort of psychoeducational rather than just me saying this is my experience of it, but it was sort of like teaching people what addiction means, which is very patronising of me now I look back on it.
No, not at all. Also, it's worth saying it's very funny. It's very entertaining. You're excellent in it, of course. And it's, I think, one of the things that's amazing about the show. And it'd be great to hear like what you think about the response in this way. But you're very open in the material that you're doing, and you're talking about your life, and you're talking about it in a very real, open, honest way. And I love the song that you have in it, and I love especially this how you say that you can't do the second verse because your friend said it's quite hard to come back from.
Yeah.
But that you're like prepared to talk about that on stage. I think because I don't even like talking about like the fact that I have like children. I feel I'm like, not that I'm keeping them secret, but on stage I'm like, do I want to be father on stage? I don't know how I feel. So see someone so open is one, like, whoa, I could not do that about even just facts about my existence. But I wonder, do you get tired of people saying like, oh, you're so open, you're so...
No, I don't. I mean, I worry sometimes that, because what I never want to do is like dump stuff on people. Like, because if it's not funny enough, then it just becomes like trauma dumping. And I never want to be so open that it makes people feel uncomfortable for me. And I think when I started doing stand-up, that was kind of the case because I didn't have any skills yet, but I was still talking about really vulnerable stuff. So, you know, it's tricky. But I don't mind people saying it as long as it doesn't mean, wow, you've said too much. And I can't help it. Like, it wasn't a decision to be like, I'm going to be an oversharing comedian. I've never described myself as an oversharer. My PR person put it in my pack recently that I was an oversharing comedian. And I was like, okay, I guess that's what I am now. But it's true. Like,
how does that feel as a thing to have, being oversharer?
I don't know that I like the word itself because oversharer implies you're doing too much sharing.
Yeah.
But I think what it denotes, that word, is more just like this person has no like issue sharing whatever they feel. I hope it's not too much for people. I've always been, well, more since I got into recovery, I've been like just very emotionally valent, very honest, and I could do observational material, and I sometimes do, and often personal stuff will end up being observational stuff, but it just feels very easy to me to write about the mishaps in my life.
All of your material then, it sounds like, since you started doing comedy, was this. And how have you found the balance in the room? Do you find that you have to change the level at which you talk about certain material based on the room that you're in? Or is it kind of like, this is my material and it's how I slant it as I do it? That's
an interesting question. I do feel like some clubbier gigs, there's certain things they're not going to get because it'll be... Do you know what? It's things like me saying, like, when I was little, I had worms all the time. It's not like... It's not stuff that's actually like, you know, very emotionally difficult. But I think sometimes they're like, why are you telling us that? Whereas like a more alternative crowd or, you know, whatever, like the Bill Murray or where some London rooms will just be like, okay, she's talking about worms, that's normal. So I think you do have to be careful where you pitch it, but mostly I try to take all my material everywhere.
Yeah. That's really interesting. I think that... one of the things I think that difference between alt rooms and like, not to like, I'm saying circuit, but for the listener, I'm putting like these speech marks over it because I don't want to say all of them are like that. But I feel like
it's very hard to define where the circuit starts and ends, and
But I feel like there is that real difference between like some audiences that come into a room and it's kind of like, I want you to tell me things that are like more about me. So if what you're saying is slightly not like my life, I'm going to feel confused as to why we're talking about that, because I thought we're just looking for everything we all agree with, compared to people who are like, oh, this is new. Oh, what's this? I've not had this existence.
But then I've been really surprised by some rooms that I've gone in and thought, then I'm going to do this, but they're not going to like it. And then people really respond to it, because I think, although some stuff is very specific to me, I usually try and turn it outwards and be like, we've all had this, right? Or like, if the feeling in the room is, no, we haven't all had this. That becomes the funny. That I'm like delusional about thinking it's. I think it's. I like to connect with people. I feel like people have like found out something about me, and therefore I feel closer to them. But also, sometimes you say something so many times it just loses meaning.
Yeah.
So I'll be saying something. So like by the end of the run, of actually, I was like talking about I was doing that song where I talk about all the like terrible things I did when I was in an addiction, and the words just didn't mean anything anymore. Every now and then, someone would just go, and I'd be like, oh yeah, I forgot that I'm saying horrible things.
How do you find doing stuff like that over and over again? Then does it just get to the point where you're kind of like muscle memory and you've built up the I say this at this point?
Sometimes, yeah, I think so. I mean, don't you find that with like stuff you've been doing for a long time, where it just sort of clicks in and you're not fully engaging with it in the same way as when you first performed it?
Yeah, absolutely. Because I'm a musical comedian, like when I'm going around the circuit, obviously the songs are the songs. And yeah, you can change like how you hold on to a note here or where you put like a focus on a word. But it is kind of like I start a set and it's like, oh shit, my fingers know exactly like the movements that I need to do on the guitar. It's probably quite an ADHD thing. Is the musical comedy is like there is a structure, there is this, I do this at this time and I feel great about that, but I can also mess around within that. I get a little, so I've got the structure, but also I don't have to stick to it that hard, and that's nice. But this recent show is a bit more about ADHD and sort of being a bit more open about failures and things like that. And
nice.
that shame of it. And because I've been performing it for maybe like a year now, coming up to a year, it's been in like final tour show version. I mean, it always changes. You never finish, do you? But
no.
It's in like I've done the Q Lab. It's hard to back out of a commitment like that.
Not changing the Q Lab at this point.
I can't. I simply can't. It's just one of those things where it's like every now and then you get like I find that I have a hook where it's like oh no, I remember why this bit makes me sad to say now.
Yeah, I do, and I think it's important not to have it every time because it's your brain emotionally cope. Like my current show is a lot about my exes, in particular one ex that has just changed the fabric of my brain, for better or worse, and that's been tough to write. But I do want to get to the point where I can just say it without thinking about what it means every single time, because otherwise you're just traumatizing yourself over and over again. It's not that I'm not ready to talk about it. I don't think you should open up about stuff on stage that you haven't processed internally. I have processed it, but I also think I wouldn't normally be reminding myself of it on a daily basis. So you do, I think, have to be able to go somewhere else and be on automatic. It's interesting what you said about songs giving sort of chapter structure almost. Because I'm ADHD.
Congratulations, commiserations.
Thank you. Yes, yeah. This year decided I'm not a musician. I'm terrible at the piano. I'm god awful. In my show I describe it as my emotional support piano, but so people's expectations are lowered. But I'm chaptering it up with there's sort of 4 songs that make it feel like whatever happens between. I've got these. So it's so interesting that you say that because I feel that I really identify with that.
Yeah, absolutely. I find the anchors really, it's like a fun, I feel like maybe it fits in the ADHD side of the head because it's fun, it's novel, it's a skill. But then the autism bit of it is like, oh, thank God there's some structure. Great.
Yeah. For me, that is like the most vulnerable thing I'm doing at the moment. So talking about like, I go into some detail on a particular mental illness that we don't talk about very much and it's not as common. And that feels fine to me. I can talk about I talk about pure OCD basically. And, when I was young, worrying about my uncles appearing when I was in the shower. That to me is funny. But actually getting the notes right and singing in tune is terrifying to me. So it does structure it, but those to me are the very vulnerable bits.
But is that quite good to have that bit that you're worried about, so then the other bits you're not like... Yeah,
I do. Every time I've previewed, like after the song, I just feel it's like, oh God, there's only 2 more to go, thank God. And I think it's more just that I'm out of practice. Like I have been playing the piano since I was 5, but I've just not practiced it very well. So I think hopefully, fingers crossed, by the time we get to August and the Fringe, I'll be more confident.
You mentioned ADHD earlier, and I wanted to ask a question about, one, if you're happy to, it'd be great to chat about your ADHD journey in terms of like if you want to talk about it, like diagnosis stuff, like which did you find first? Did you get them both at the same time? And also maybe that connection to addiction, like if you think there is a connection in terms of like that, the way that you think and the way that your head looks for things, and if you think there is an overlap there, or if not, and that's just something that people say.
So I got diagnosed when I was, I don't know, it was like 2016, 2017. So like not like ages ago, but before the big
before it was cool.
Rush. Yeah. I did it before I knew you could have a podcast about it. It fit to me very well, and I think a lot of people don't really understand ADHD, and they, I try to talk about the ADHD iceberg, and a lot of it is the stuff underneath. It's sure, I have trouble starting and stopping things, like I really do, but I also have the rejection sensitivity, and I have the episodes of depression that are caused by it, and there's so much stuff that ADHD is, rather than like being a bit fidgety, although I am that as well. And then I then later suspected that there was there were some elements of autism in there. I'm more ADHD than I am the ORD bit.
Sure.
But I went to my doctor and I said, I've got these elements. I struggle sometimes to make eye contact with people. It's like actually a problem on stage because I've been looking down a lot recently because I'm so panicked by the eye contact. And I'm very, very sensitive to certain sensory things. So I thought when I was young, it was normal to hear a sound and for the pain of that sound to go into your teeth, and that we all had that feeling, and it didn't feel safe. I don't like people touching me without me sort of being mentally ready for it first. So there's the elements that do fit in with autism, but I think I'm definitely more ADHD. I just it's the sensory stuff.
Yeah, sure.
And I went to my doctor. I was like, can I get a reassessment for it to be ADHD? And he was like, just say it is. It's fine. Like, it's just so expensive to go through. And he's like, yeah, there are elements of it, sure. Like, but I mean, I've got my certificate for ADHD, and the ORD bit is added informally. I don't know though that there is. I guess there is an addiction overlap. I mean, my drugs of choice were very much like speed, cocaine for sure, like up at things, because for the first few lines, they really leveled me out. Problem is, I just kept going. So I think that people with ADHD do I've just learned about this on my course as a therapist, but like there is a real correlation between people with ADHD and use and occasionally abuse of stimulant substances, but I don't know that necessarily inherently links to addiction, which is its own separate thing. I don't know the science on it.
In my head, and this is also me speaking as not somebody with anything beyond being able to read very publicly available books. My understanding of like ADHD stuff is like my head is looking for stimulation, my head is looking for novelty, my head is looking for unusual things to fill a certain level of maybe normality, or maybe like unstimulation, or as a coping strategy for how overstimulating everything is. One of those confusing coins.
Yeah, or a way I think of, because it's your brain not parceling out dopamine in a very regular way. So it's about sort of trying to fill in the gaps between that, I think, as well.
And where do you think that addiction begins and that kind of thing ends? And I'm not, again, as I ask this, I'm not expecting you to give, this is only your experience, and this is only your lived experience to speak about, and there is no judgment if you don't want to answer the question or whatever.
No, I'm happy to answer, but I think I'm going to say this, because it's so weird you asked, because I was talking to my mum about this last night, but I reserve the right to change my mind on this later.
Of course.
But I don't think that you get addicted to a substance, or get addicted to whatever. I think you are an addict. So I think that someone who has started using whatever to help cope with ADHD might get hooked on the chemical component of that. But that doesn't really make them an addict per se. It's just that they've entered into a space of substance abuse. An addict, to me, and this is very much what I talk about in Actually, is like, it's someone who, there's different theories. It's a disease. There's definitely been research on parts of the brain that are different. It's genetic, runs in families. It's more of its own whole. I mean, it's not a diagnosis, but it should be. And it comes with a set of, generally a set of behaviours and emotional difficulties that can be addressed via addiction therapy or 12-step or whatever you want to use. So yeah, I think I don't know if I'm right, but I think just abusing something because you've got there via ADHD doesn't necessarily mean you are an addict.
It was Jack D, I think, said, this was a long time ago, but when Jack D spoke about alcoholism in a very similar way, in that Jack D didn't consider himself an alcoholic, but was in a period of his life where he abused alcohol.
Like, whatever language or labelling helps people to get to where they need to be in terms of being better is fine. I identify as an addict because it's really clean and easy for me to understand what that means. And because I'm an addict, I can't use or drink, like, I mean, we distinguish between drugs and alcohol. Alcohol is a drug. I can't use any drugs, full stop, because my brain, my wiring just isn't going to stop at one, ever.
You have a podcast called Come to Bed With Me.
I do. And actually the second series of it is coming out in about 3 weeks, although
cool.
Recording 22nd of May, but I don't know when you put this out. Basically what it is 2 comedians join me in bed. I ask them a few questions about, what do you like to sleep next to? Where's the worst place you've ever slept? Those things usually go off on a tangent anyway. Then I ask them for the second round what they're tired of, which is a minor gripe they get to get off their chest. And then the third round, this time we've turned it into a sort of competitive game in terms of bedtime storytelling. It's a nice contrast to making my show, where the show feels like it's full of pressure right now.
Yeah, sure.
And I'm also just currently like editing the podcast, and I'm like, this is so stupid. And like, do you not find the same thing with this? And I just love, like, you've picked something really niche. Yeah. Not really niche, but like reasonably niche that you are interested in. And I mean, obviously that does have sort of a flavour of tism about it. And don't take this the wrong way. Essentially pointless.
Yeah, of course.
Like, deep dive research about it for the love of it.
Yeah, and that's what I love about it, and that's what I really like about like having people on and inviting them to try and like provide some sort of thing for them. And I think it's also one of the really nice things about Come to Bed as like a premise is that it's these little things that feel inconsequential, but actually they have these like big worlds within them, like somebody's sleep pattern or sleep habits. Like, that's a private world that most people you don't share that information with other people, like what you do before you go to sleep. That's actually quite a big thing that informs somebody how they approach things.
I wasn't sure when I started it last time whether people would go for it, because obviously, as we've discussed, I'm very open. I was like, maybe people don't want to talk about like whether they snore or whatever. It is an interesting insight into other people. But, it was asking Phil Ellis one of those questions ended up being like a 20-minute conversation about every car he's ever totaled. I was like, yeah, that's a better way of answering it, really. Than I was very surprised actually how many people were willing to just be like, oh yeah, I fart all night or whatever, just personal information that they didn't need to give. It's great.
You might talk about it in the podcast, so forgive me if it's already been discussed. But do you have dreams, Lulu? Do you find that you talk about the world of dreams with people?
Yes, I have to actually cut out the edits most time because I realise I'm saying the same thing and people don't need to hear that every episode. But I've said it enough in the first series. I have terrible dreams, like hellish, really vivid, always have. Wake up in the morning, I'm still like haunted by whatever I was in the middle of doing. Really, really like nightmarish, or just very stressful. Like I've wronged someone and I need to explain the situation, but I can't get hold of them, and no one believes me, and it's that sort of fair.
Do you think that's like your subconscious running through it, or do you think this is basically, Lulu, to give you a little insight into what my head is doing now, is I'm trying to gradually go into the magic section. So what I want to ask you is, do you think that dreams are spooky and stuff?
For the purpose of the narrative of this podcast. Yeah.
Great.
Really,
I knew it. Great. Perfect.
I think it's a dash of what you've been worrying about all day, a pinch of bigger life worries, and then like a sprinkling of just nonsense because you're whatever flavour of nonsense human being you are.
I had a friend who used to think that dreams were like prophecies. Just every now and then you'd see like a slip of like, and yeah, I had this dream last night and this person in it, we were fighting and then we joined forces. And so I think an enemy of mine is going to turn to be my friend in a few weeks' time. And I'm like, what are you talking about?
Where does that come from?
You're 14. What enemies do you have that you're battling somebody? What are you talking about?
That's really funny. I'm a bit like that though amongst my friends. I've got quite a lot of very woo-woo friends. I don't know if woo-woo is like a mean term, but I've got a lot of friends who love crystals, and I don't.
You don't go in for crystals?
No, I don't go in for crystals, and I don't go in for, oh my god, fucking horoscopes. Like, I know it's been done to death, the conversation of horoscope, but I refuse to believe that any of that. But then, interestingly, I love tarot. So then that's my like thing slipping out, where people are like, hang on, you weren't meant to be into this. But I love tarot not because I think it has any special powers. I just think it is a really good way of making you look at corners of your brain that you wouldn't otherwise look at. So if you pull a card about Five of Pentacles, rejection, be like, oh, what does rejection mean to me at the moment?
Yeah, I think this is one of the big things, like, from deep dive into magic back in the day. And I find it actually really interesting that the work you're doing as a therapist is like, I feel like you go back 300, 400 years and the idea of somebody having mental health at all doesn't exist. But there's still this human need that people have to like, I feel like somebody in my town stole something of mine and I feel really betrayed about that. And I need to talk to somebody about that. But the only way that then we could discuss it is to have a ritual where the knowledge is revealed. And I feel like that was important.
Yeah.
That was important, and that continues to be important. But that emotional need and that human connection need, I think, is really big and is often like overlooked when people talk about like magic in the past. And I think tarot especially is like such a great therapy tool in a way.
I love it because when I used to do work at placement, I'm not a paid therapist yet. I used to do placement at a sixth form, and like younger people don't necessarily always have a wide emotional vocabulary. So we'd have these cards that I'd pick out, and they were just like feelings cards, and I'd be like, which of these are speaking to you today? And I think it's exactly the same thing. If you say to someone, right, well, this card means that you've got to like harness your inner femininity, and people are very welcome to say that doesn't chime with me at all, and that's also fine. I think all of these things are just a means of, as you say, trying to express ourselves and find a way to like let parts of ourselves out in order to heal them. But unfortunately, at certain points I had to burn that person because I don't feel safe within myself.
Yes, that is, of
you
course, the other part of it that is like, boy. Let's talk a bit about Love.
Love. It's really, I'm at a really frustrating stage with it. Hopefully by the time this comes out, I'll have actually landed in what it is and I'll just be doing the final tweaks. But it's a bit late really, mid-June, to be having sort of not got an ending or a sense of what the structure is, but it's got some good jokes in it, I think, and basically it's pretty simple as a concept. It's me looking at via the story of several exes, and one ex in particular, and also via the route of the overlap between love and mental illness, and then exploring like how my own mental illness is mapped onto my relationships. I look at sort of what love is, and why can't I get rid of this last person in my head, even though I'm over them? And that's really resonated with people actually, and people have sent me DMs after things, being like, I really get that, like that ex that you just can't stop thinking about, even though you don't want to think with them anymore. I think a lot of us have not the one, but that one. That's sort of, maybe it's resentment or you feel icky about it, but they linger. And it's looking at whether it'd be better to just be single. It's just at the moment it's a lot of questions and answers, and then at the end I don't have a big answer yet. So you'll have to come to the show to find out what I've landed on.
But also, one of the things I love about your shows, and I love about actually, and I can't wait to see in Love though, I think, is that you're discussing things in a way that's present tense. Like, you know, as you discuss you are an addict and that is part of your life, and like you'll be 10 years this year, and when that recording that I watched was 8 years. But it is that, like, kind of the end is like just the end of that hour. It's not the end of the life, and it's not the end of the feelings in that. It's not like there's necessarily that solution that happens. But I think there's something amazing about being getting to be in your presence to see that and see you work through that.
Oh, well, I mean, thanks. I think it is like, I think there is something current to it, because the ex that lingers isn't a problem for me anymore, but they still linger, and it really got me questioning, that looks a bit like OCD, what's going on there, and that is current, but I've processed it. I wouldn't do anything that I haven't processed, and I think maybe the ending will be something that is quite sort of live, which is like, I don't know, like let's all just see what happens to all of us. And the ones of you who are already coupled up, fuck you. Yeah.
It's one of the really exciting things about taking shows to the Fringe is like, I've had friends who have shows that they brought and then in the first 3 days completely rewrote like 70% of it because they're just like, it's just not working at the moment and they just can't. And then,
I mean, that's what the Fringe used to be. I first went up to the Fringe in 2004 and I just thought it was this like, I mean, obviously I didn't know how like the inner workings of it unfolded, but I thought it was this amazing thing and people were just sort of playing things quite loosely and it all seemed like a team you could be part of. It's what made me want to do comedy because obviously I thought, and this is relevant for this podcast, I thought the comedy was a type of magic. It was like I'd never seen that before where someone could like change their words to get a reaction from a whole room. And I really did feel like there was a sort of magic to it that allowed you to do kind of whatever you wanted and be part of something.
Can I do a magic spell for you, Lulu?
Oh my God, I would love that.
Thank God, because imagine if you'd said no at this point. When I asked you about this, you had a few problems that you wanted to bring to the table.
I mean, a lot of them are to do with love and singledom, but then I thought, well, that's what my show is about, so I'll just work that out with stage rather than magic. Right. One problem, and this I do think I mentioned this in the show, but it doesn't ever get solved, is that I don't think that my dog respects me. And the first time I ever said that, I said it really sincerely. I was with my mate Ben Pope, and he was like, "That's so funny, man." Like, I was like, "Why is it funny?" He was like, "Because like she's your mental health support dog, like, and you're worried that she doesn't respect you. Like, it's a very, very bad situation to be in." But yeah, so I think that's of all the concerns I had, that was the most pressing one.
That's the key one. Yeah. Sometimes it's like, well, I know my animal like knows to come to me for like food and safety and attention, but do they like me? Do they like me? Yeah,
it's a lot of like, you can't just love me because I keep you alive, because that's got a lot of like Kim Jong-un energy, and I don't want that in our relationship.
I don't like to unpack relationship with pets too much in that, especially our cat, because we have indoor cats because we live very close to a busy road. And I do sometimes feel like, who am I? What am I doing to these animals? Keeping them indoors.
Who am I to have this cat in my house?
Yeah, who am I to have made that decision in my life that they have to stay indoors all the time?
Yeah. I had that when I got her what's the word, spayed, neutered. When I had her bits out. I'm like, why am I making the decision for another living being's
yeah.
like fertility? That's insane. And then I was like, actually, I don't want to have a period all over the house. Fuck it. Yeah, so I reasoned it was a fine thing to do. But yeah, it is odd because the relationships you have with them you think are kind of mutual and it's a back and forth. And then you're like, oh no, I put you in this place. Like I'm your, I made myself your keeper. How dare I?
So your dog is called Dottie.
Mm-hmm.
And how long have you had Dottie for?
I've had Dottie, so I got her at 8 weeks, and she is now 7.5 years old. No. So she will soon be cast as a geriatric dog, which I don't like.
So I have got some magic for you.
Okay, excited. Summon Dottie to me.
So I do have a few. I have a few options. I got some magic on love in case you're interested in it. Obviously you don't need this. This isn't what we're looking at. But just in case, to show you some options for you. So what I've used for your spells to look through is the Book of Saint Cyprian. So Saint Cyprian was a saint. Could you imagine with a name like that? It's kind of like he'd really committed to it before he was born.
Yeah. Nominative determinism.
He's a bishop of Carthage, which was in Tunisia, and he was an early Christian writer. So one of the first people who, like, sort of after life of Jesus, brought it into the page, depending on how much you put into that stuff. But also that weird thing of like how much magic and spells and that like the world that we think of as witchcraft overlaps with like religion, Christianity, and Judaism, and even a lot of ancient Egypt religious practice comes into it. So here's just a couple to give you an idea. There's one is to be loved by women, and there's also one to be loved by men, which I think is a bit I just think loved by people. Why are you writing out two spells personally?
Well, this is very difficult for me because I'm bi, so I don't know I've had more upsetting trouble with men.
Okay.
So I think let's look at men now.
Okay. Well, I'll give you both, and then we can use it as because it's gender is is how we feel. It's a spectrum, and exactly. So maybe there's something in the middle of it. So to be loved by men, the woman is to rub her hands with the preceding recipe. And further, she is to perform the following ritual. Let the woman who seeks the man get from him a coin, medal, or pin, or another object made of silver that has been carried for at least 24 hours. Set any possession from for 24 hours. Feel free to ask any questions as we go on, because I want to make sure that you've got all the info.
This is incredible though, because I'm seeing an ex tomorrow, and I know he has on his keyring look, I got a silver coin made with our initials on either side, and I know he's still got it. I'm going to get that back.
Yeah, if you get that back. So once you've got that, so you approach the desired man, having the aforementioned object in the right hand, and with the other cup of wine, in which has dissolved a pellet about the size of a grain millet, composed of the following. Now, I hope you've got your list ready. So you need the head of an eagle, a thimbleful of hemp seed, 2 drops of laudanum, and 6 drops of her own blood taken from her menses in the same month.
We've run into difficulties already here, and you know, it's not just the head of the eagle. I don't have a period, and I can't drink wine, so I feel like already we're. Although, are you just holding the wine? You don't have to drink the wine.
No. You just hold the wine. You just hold the wine and dissolve it.
Okay. Well, I would also laudanum. I think is hard to get your hands on these days. But
yeah, and I wouldn't recommend it to drink. That's a poison, right? I'm pretty sure that's like
laudanum was. I think it was like Valium mixed with opium.
Yeah.
It was like a benzo and a opiate. It sounds great.
Yeah. So there's and head of an eagle. Now a bit of decoding is often when they say things like that. Sometimes it can mean the actual animal parts, but other times it can mean like a flower. I'm
gonna do the actual head of an eagle. Thank you.
Good for you, actually. Yeah. We'll cut this out for RSPB.
No, I know who I
am. So then you get them to drink it, and he will love the woman who gives it to him by force. She may renew the effects of this once a year. I don't know if okay.
Hang on. Well, is it by force if it's what I'm gunning for? Because I feel like I'm coming at this. If I'm coming at this with a goblet of wine and an eagle's head, I think I'm expressing enthusiastic consent at that point.
Yeah, I'd say so.
Maybe it just means that he's like a dom in the bedroom. Okay, great.
Yeah. So, and then this is to be loved by women. Before anything else, it helps to briefly study the character or genius of the woman to be conquered. Don't like that. And to direct and regulate one's manner of conduct in accordance with the result to be obtained from this knowledge. It will be useless to recommend a suit, according to the resources of each, if one is not elegant or rich. But one the less should it be immaculately cleaned.
Hang on, can you put that in?
Yeah, so
what does that mean?
So I think the first part of it is understand the genius or character. I think that just means get to know them, which feels less like magic, more like just general decency. But then again, also we did say later force someone to drink, so I'm not sure. Regulate the conduct, and then recommending wearing something nice and wearing nice clothes. Again, if this is like the game back in the day, this is like the bar is very low.
This doesn't feel like magic. This is like get to know someone, like present your best self.
So you've got a clean suit, you've got to know someone. The man who is a pig is incapable of falling in love. That's still true, actually.
It is very true, actually. And one of my nicknames for my exes was Pig, so that's I think very apt. Is this assuming that I'm a man in this?
Yeah, I think
situation?
I think this is a very cis het role.
Yeah, that's fine. It's fine.
But that might be the translator rather than Saint Cyprian. To be fair to the saint, we don't know. We don't know. Okay, so this all seems fine. The man was a bit. It should be noted that this cleaning is not required for the clothes, but also for the entire body. That you have to mention. That feels unfortunate in the dating game.
Have a bath, pants. Like basic advice.
So this first condition is observed for 6 months. So you got to keep a clean clothes and wash for 6 whole months. Aye. Then you take the heart of a virgin female dove and make a female snake swallow it. The snake, after some time, will die. Take the head of the snake and roast it on a slow and low fire, so barbecue, and reduce it to powder by crushing it in a mortar and adding a few drops of, that's right, Lulu, laudanum. When you wish to use this recipe, rub your hands with a part of the preparation. The effect is secured.
Okay. That all seemed like very reasonable, and then it really took a turn. There was a volta.
A real hairpin turn.
For that. It feels like it's so funny. It's like the snake at some point will die, and it's like, yeah, as will we all. Like,
Safe bet.
maybe
safe bet,
just don't
yeah.
even bother with the heart of the dove then. Just leave the snake to die.
Yeah, just follow them around.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Those are great. I look forward to using those.
Okay, yeah, let me know how they go. I mean, it seems really like laudanum is the main crossover I'm seeing in both of these.
Yeah, I mean, I don't want to use the phrase that goes with this, but it does seem like it's drugging someone.
Yeah, which I would not. I personally, I mean, call me far. I would not recommend that, Lulu. That would be my advice as a spellcaster.
You're just such a feminist.
I know, I'm so great. That's some love things, but that's not what we're here for. No. We're here for the respect of your dog. We're here for the respect of Dottie.
Mm-hmm.
And so I've got a few corkers. Now, the first thing I wanted to ask is, I don't think this will be the case, but I did want to raise the point. Could it be that Dottie has been like aggressive and has been bewitched into aggression?
She is aggressive compared to herself. So she's always a very well behaved dog. And then recently she started, when I'm watching TV, like putting a paw up on the sofa and like quietly growling at me. But for her, that's like a lot. So yeah, let's say she's aggressive in.
Okay, and do you find it happens more at night time?
Yes, I do.
Okay, perfect. So this is from Witchcraft Detective and Prevented. This is to prevent a dog harking at you in the nighttime. This is just one to think about because sometimes, I will be honest, the ingredients are hard to source.
You must take the skin off the forehead of a hyena, which may be had at a furrier's shop.
I haven't got any furriers near me.
The hyena's going to be hard as well if you get to your furrier.
I mean, they're in high demand. They're flying off the shelves, so you barely grab one. Okay, noted. We'll work on that.
Boil it in the urine of a young stone colt and smoke it over the burnt hoof of a cow.
What's a colt?
Good question. I think it's a horse, isn't it?
Okay.
So I think you've got to get a grey horse.
Smoke it over the burnt hoof of a cow twice or thrice till it is dry, and so carry it about you. And so long as you do this wherever you come in the night, the dogs will not only be silent, but, and this is why I didn't think it was appropriate, will run away from you.
No, I don't want that. I think that's lovely up until, no problems really, up until that point.
Yeah, so I thought that's an option for you just to show that, there's a few bits of support for this respect for the dog.
Right.
A surprisingly specific thing that is covered. So the other thing is, this is the one that I've got, which is Saint Cyprian, our boy again. So this is a special way to cause a spell over dogs. Did you get the parcel that I sent you? Have you got that with you?
Is it this? Is this look about the right size? Because I got a few parcels yesterday, but
I think so. So this is a special way to cause a spell over dogs.
Cut a few strings of sheep gut or sheep's tripe. Hold them in the armpit for an hour, then throw them at the dog that you wish to bewitch. As the dog eats the first piece, it will abandon its owner and will follow the person who has given the sheep gut to it.
Now, I did ask you if you were vegan or vegetarian, and you did say no. However, I did think, I don't know if we can send tripe in the post.
as you were reading that out, I was like, am I holding tripe?
I think you'll be pretty pleased with what it is.
Okay, I'm going to open it up. I love the dedication to this podcast, man. It's amazing. Seasoned fried tofu pouches, Inari Argo. Amazing. They are suitable for vegans and a source of protein. Amazing.
Because often with spell books, a lot of the things that feel like they're very meaty or very animal based actually do have a plant component or a plant base. So I had a look for, well, what is the vegan alternative for tripe? And it's dried bean curd, which is what you have there.
That's amazing. This is so funny. Also on the back it says it's time to start my Japanese adventure.
Well, there you go as well.
Which I'm really looking forward to.
Yeah, congratulations.
You have to be invited to start it.
That's true. Yeah, it's like vampires. Japanese adventures must be invited to.
Yeah.
So, Poppy, for this spell, you just need to pop one of them under an armpit for an hour and throw it out to Dottie.
Yeah, fine. I've got something on this afternoon, but tonight I'm on it. Sure.
Yeah, sure. It's only an hour. You don't have to carry it around for super.
What else am I doing? I'll put it on. Watch an episode of Ted Lasso.
Yeah. There's a good time. And then throw it out and let us know.
Beat it into the cupboard.
Part of me does think with this spell, like sometimes the spells are like ceremonial magic where you're asking for like supernatural support from spirits and things. Other times it does feel dangerously like you're about to drug somebody's drink. But this one, like offering tripe to a dog, does just sound like sound advice, actually. of the things to give to a dog.
It's basically what does happen is that my dog will be with me, and then anyone in a cafe will be like, oh, can I give her a treat? And then she'll just go and sit with that person for the rest of the afternoon who gave them a treat. So she's easily lured away by treats. But I'm luring her back to me.
I guess this is it. This is what the challenge is to do the armpit bean curd, see if they go for it, and then also I think we need to go to a place where they might also be offered a treat.
Right, just to test that. Although, do you know how heartbreaking that is when it doesn't? My mum and I were on a beach once, and there was a trend where you both run suddenly in different directions and see which one the dog followed. And we did it 3 times, and the dog followed my mum every single time. And I was like, well, I'm glad we did that. So you're playing with fire. I will give you the end data for sure.
Yeah, thank you very much. Yeah, because I do need to find, because part of this is now that I know that I'm magic, I need to find out what magic it is I can do, and I'm just trying to whittle down what my abilities are.
Sure, it's good to know. It's good to specify in this day and age. You've got to work out what your niche is. So
because it's not niche enough, just doing a podcast about 16th century magic. Yeah, sure. So thank you so much for coming on the show, and I hope the spell helps you. Please let us know what is there that you'd like people to head over to. I know we've mentioned the podcast and we've mentioned the show.
Yeah, so please come and see my show in Edinburgh if you're there, at 6:45 at Underbelly Buttercup in George Square, or just head to my Instagram at Lulu Popplewell. I also have TikTok, but I hate it more there for some reason. It's got all my dates of upcoming previews and whips. It's a really good show. I'm really proud of it. I'm aware of them saying, oh, it doesn't have an ending. That's normal. I think it's going to be well worth you coming out to see. So please do that if you can.
Yes, absolutely.
All right, thank you, mate.
Yeah, I'll see you there. Thank you so much, Lulu. Thank you, Lulu, for joining us for a lovely conversation and what I trust will be a very successful spell. But we will have to find out about that in a moment when Lulu sends us the voice note over. In the meantime, you can see their show, Lulu Popplewell Love, at Underbelly, George Square in the Buttercup Room from 6:45, more or less every day at the Fringe. And then I'm sure it will be going on a little bit of a tour after that if you're listening in the future. How far in the future? That's kind of your choice. That's not my choice. But thank you so much for listening. Please do like, share, and subscribe. I think Lulu mentioned it, but if you do want to follow them anywhere, they're on social media on Instagram at LuluBirdPopplewell, and also they're on Twitter. I don't know how often they use it anymore. How often do any of us use it anymore? At Lulu_Popplewell. If you liked it, please do like, share, and subscribe to the podcast and let people know. You can follow me at EDYHURST on most of the social medias. If you want to send me a message on there, spell request, anything under the sun, really. And if you want to support the show and you want to support Eddie Hurst's wonderful Discoverie of Witches in the County of himself, which is the companion live version of this, tangentially. I don't want you to be going and thinking, oh yeah, he's gonna do spells for people right there. In a way, we do, but not like this. But you can follow me at EDYHURST, or you can donate if you wanted to my Crowdfunder, which is still running. The link will be in the show notes below. Or come see the show, Eddie Hurst's wonderful Discoverie of Witches in the County himself, 2:20, Roxy downstairs with Assembly for the Edinburgh Fringe. And also going on a tour in the spookiest month, October, and also mid-September, and also very early November, that you can find out about more. I'll be announcing that soon, but have a look at my website, eddiehurst.co.uk, for more information on that as well. And sign up to my mailing list. Why not? What have you got to lose? You can just unsubscribe if you want. It doesn't bother me. It does bother me. Please stay. Anyway, let's listen to how Lulu got on with the spell.
So I took it out of the package and, apologies, I didn't want to put it under my armpit because I knew I'd have to shower again. So I just chucked it really far down the garden, and rather than running after it, Dottie just stared at me. So either she was being very loyal to me because respect had been gained, as we had hoped, or she recognised that it wasn't proper food or a ball or anything worth following, and she was just looking at me because she thought I was an idiot with arguably less respect than ever. I don't know what to make of that. I think, sadly, it might be the less respect, but because it was a particularly punishing stare. But I thank you for your efforts nonetheless. Listen, it might have worked better if it had been a bit of beef or something, but we've got to look after the planet. That's got to come before my dog respecting me, so fair enough.
That is a bit of a blow. I felt like that was going to be such a home run, not even because it was like magic necessarily, just because it's giving a dog a snack, which does feel like a really easy win to get a dog onto your side. But you know, I appreciate Lulu giving it a go, and also, you know, there is no plan B, is there? We've got to look after the environment. I don't even believe that as I say it out loud. I mean, I do believe that we've got to look after the environment, but as an excuse for why the spell didn't work, I appreciate Lulu saying it, but it's pretty unequivocally a failure here. Hey, but you know what? Even a failure is a learning experience, and we gain something from it, don't we? And I can carry this information with me, as I know that now I'm not the sort of magician that can get the respect of animals, which is disappointing, because I really feel like I would have made a good druid. I really feel like I would have done a good job of that. But hey, you know, in the words of the great philosopher Chumbawamba, we may get knocked down, but we get back up again. They ain't never going to keep us down. So please join me next week as I have my next guest and we figure out what magic we can solve for them. And that is the comedian and writer Jake Donaldson. Thanks again. This has been iPod A Spell on You. See you next week. Bye!